right. Let me see. Is my audio okay? Okay. Trying to get things dialed in here. Oh, my light's going out. Kind of a mess. Let me see. Share screen. Okay, copy, close. All right. I'm going to post this. Boom. Just wait for a few minutes here. I know my last stream, my last live, we were in my car. So, and my, I couldn't find my case for my AirPods. Otherwise, my audio would probably be a bit better. But if you could, just give me some feedback on my audio. It'd be great. So, just posted this in the Facebook group so people can hop on. Wait a couple minutes here, but let me see. My lighting's okay. Oh no, now it's not great. All right. I think we're getting dialed in. It looks okay. It looks okay. It doesn't look amazing, but it looks better than just being in my car going off my phone. So yeah, new news. I'm trying to think. There's a couple things I want to go through. What's up, Jesse? Thanks for hopping on. Jesse, I'm excited, man. You've got some really good stuff cooking. Some possibly albino genetic stripe stuff. Coyote. I mean, that's gonna be some next level stuff. And that's the cool thing when it comes to people and projects. I mean, I know I mean, from Aubrey's post, it sounds like he's getting out mostly of retics, and people are either buying or I really don't know anything about his business dealings and kind of what he's doing, but it seems like that people are either buying or potentially even doing some partnership deals. And, on Aubrey's part, I think that's smart. I don't know what his long-term plans are, if he's like just really trying to get out, but now would be a good time to reach out to Aubrey because it seems like he's offloading most of his stuff. So once again, I think there's not enough people doing specialty projects or doing different things. I know everybody's jumping on the ocelot stuff, and once again, it's like, how do you differentiate your ocelot stuff if you go pick up some ocelot stuff from everybody else's? I mean, I think that's the biggest question, is how are you going to differentiate, your ocelot or your project from anybody else's? And I think the number one thing there, or there's a couple things, right? You look at color and pattern, but what is gonna change that ultimately? It's going to be the locality blood, right? And so I think this year, I know Rodney's talked a lot about that, and I don't want to just copy everything Rodney says. I think he has makes a lot of good points, but I think the locality stuff is really what's going to help throw different patterns, throw different color than what we've typically seen. I mean, obviously over in Indonesia and some of these other countries, what they're posting is just completely, it looks completely different, new to a degree, and super unique. And so I'm really excited for this upcoming year because I think people are really going to start investing into pures, Haumas, Mindanaos, Ternates. And, I'm really rooting for that market, even though I don't have any of those localities. I'm planning on picking some stuff up and working with Rodney on some projects. But I mean, I think now more than ever is the time to really look at what you currently have in your collection. What are the projects that you are aspiring to get to, and how can you get ahead? Because any long-term project, as we know, is going to take time. But if you're already if you're already subscribing to the time commitment and investment, now you got to start looking at, all right, how do I protect that investment by ensuring that the end result or end product is something that is going to be super desirable and aesthetically pleasing. And I think we're kind of coming out of this market, Superdorf market, where a lot of the run of the mill Kodam stuff has been done. And if you're going to do that stuff, it has to be super high percent. Um, and I think that's where things are kind of trending and going to. And ultimately, I think it's going to be really fun and interesting the next year or two to see how people's plans change when it comes to breeding, some of the pivots and adjustments they make. Um, I've said before, there's kind of two ends of the spectrum when it comes to breeders. There's one end where what I've seen is there's breeders that every other day they're trying to do different pairings or partner with different people, and I think that leads to a lot of burnout. And then on the flip side, you have the people that are kind of just so stuck in their ways. They're staying the course, but as we're kind of seeing, there should be kind of this adaptation or progression where as we learn more about how these genetics work, how, some of these different morphs work and the localities that influence some of that, it's like, how do you make those adjustments in advance? Because once again, I think when we think about the original sales pitch on Super Dwarfs, that was, hey, you want to buy a lot of pures because you can always make pures in the future, and then you can always shrink down sizes. And I think that still holds true to a degree, but now I think moving forward, what people really need to start looking at is, how do I make the best looking stuff, right? And how can I utilize some of these different genetics, polygenics, different things that have been worked on already. And the one thing that I really like about some of Rodney's Ternate stuff, in particular, is, and the Mindanao stuff too, but Halma hasn't really even been played with, but just the different things that does with some of those morph combos, because it really is kind of like spinning the wheel and hitting the jackpot with some of those clutches. I mean, I remember, I think Rodney produced, what was it? Was it a Sun Tiger Mindanao? I mean, it's just the craziest looking Sun Tiger I think I've ever seen in terms of just color and pattern. So when you think about those different things, that's going to be a big deal. Jesse, 50% TK, Super Sun, Sunfires, Genetic Stripes, Poshet albinos. That's a mouthful. And the TK male used to make the hets was het Anri. Okay. So yeah, you're going to make 50% insanity potentially is what that sounds like. That's exciting, and that's really fun. I have not had an opportunity, just to switch gears a little bit, I have not had the opportunity to watch Rodney's latest video on that Triple Threats retic podcast. I had a couple people send it to me and say, you need to watch this whole thing and blah, blah, blah. I probably watched like 60 seconds of it and skimmed through some of it. And it kind of seemed like just some vague whining and complaining and, pointing fingers. And I don't know. I didn't get much out of that podcast. And it's interesting because I know Brian Watkins will probably watch this live because he watches everything I do and likes to make his comments. But I mean, Rodney kind of said something similar where it's like, if some of these people acted like how they act on on these podcasts on social media, people would like them a lot more. And I think that holds true, where it's like, and in terms of some of these people coming after Rodney or coming after me, I mean, I haven't even talked to any of these people before directly. Obviously I've made stances on certain people or certain things, and that's because there's been like multiple interactions or experiences with these individuals, um, and friends that I have in the space. This is not just like, hey, there's one-off thing, and because my friend said that I need to hate this person, I hate him. It's not that. It's there's there's multiple instances of this person rubbing people the wrong way, or treating customers a certain way, or talking to people a certain way, where I don't want to be involved with people like that. And we live in a community, in this niche where there's certain breeders that, they have a hard stance against certain people, and if you decide to do business with those people, they cut you off. And that has happened with multiple big name breeders in our space. And so it is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, I've never made one piece of negative content about Brian Watkins. I've said some comments about him in regards to some of the different things that I've seen, but people are going to do what they want to do. And it was weird because I think he had blocked me. I'd never talked to him, but he had blocked me a while ago. Um, and then he had added me as a friend. Like, this is not that long ago. This is probably a year ago on Facebook. And then he had unfriended me, I don't know, the last 6 months or something on Facebook. So, I mean, and the other thing is too, I'm not gonna deal with people that, um, I'm not gonna deal with people that play those kind of games, and will block you at whim. And also, a lot of people in our space are notorious for opening up burner accounts and making comments, or trying to infiltrate groups or screenshots. It's honestly just like, I laugh at it because it's so stupid. um and people are like, oh, you guys are starting drama or whatever. It's just like, no. Like I said, I haven't watched Rodney's recent video, but my takeaway was like, a lot of the statements that those guys had made on previous episodes, it just was historically so inaccurate. Like, it wasn't even the ballpark in terms of, like, where super dwarfs came from, and some of the different imports that came in, just some of the general history of where these snakes came from. And it's like, if you're not going to take the time and invest the time to learn about just some general facts when it comes to who brought these snakes in, where'd they come from, and some of those different things before going on a podcast and telling the world, like, that's not your opinion. That's just historical data. And so, yeah, I know him. Then they and Rodney kind of got into it, or some back and forth, and Rodney's like, and they were like, well, it's just our perspective. And it's like, no, it's historically inaccurate. And even in regards to some of the lineage stuff. So it's like, people can do what they want. And I mean, I've always been an advocate for new breeders and new keepers to create content. And if it's podcasts or short form stuff or YouTube stuff, I mean, people can do what they want. But I mean, I think at this point, because of a lot of the misinformation that has been, perpetrated and put out by our community in the past, I think people are really sensitive to, like, if you're going to spew stuff or put out information, there's a lot of information that has come out from different breeders. But a lot of this stuff is kind of common knowledge stuff. So I think that was the main issue. But once again, it's like, people are going to do what they want to do, and cause drama and do different things along the way. But anyway, I hope the best for them. And ultimately, they've got their views, and they've got their business model and how they want to do stuff, and that's fine. I mean, it's a free country. People can say what they want, do what they want. But in respect of that too, we should be able to voice our opinion on stuff. And I think overall, just putting out information, they talked the whole last podcast. Like I said, I skimmed through it. I probably watched, a minute or two of it, but it was all about how negative the community is. And I mean, I generally disagree. I think there's a lot of really good people. I've had some really good conversations yesterday with people, and talking about their breeding plans and everything like that. And I think a lot of people are scared to even voice an opinion because they feel like they're going to get attacked on stuff, which is 100% warranted, right? But anyway, I mean, I'm excited, and I want to switch gears here. I mean, I don't want to talk about that stuff. I mean, it longer than I kind of need to or have to, but I wanted to get your guys' opinion up too, because once again, I'm not trying to stir the pot with this, but when it comes to, I brought it up on my last live, and I've been over the last week kind of contemplating, do I actually make this video, or what is the blowback going to be? Because the video I want to make really is just about the Coyote stuff, and I don't want to repeat myself too much, but the information that's been put out in the past about Coyote, some of the history, sizing, how to label them versus how people look at Coyotes today, I think is different. And I bought my Coyotes 4 years ago, so it's like, and now I'm kind of in the space where I've got a pair of Coyotes. I'm trying to breed my female Coyote right now. And I kind of want to just make this video and ask kind of an open-ended question, but I'm probably going to get blowback on it from people that, might want to label their stuff or have labeled their sort of stuff a certain way before. But if you look at Garrett's Coyote, the first Super Dwarf video, looking back on it today, like there's quite a bit of contradiction in that video. Like if you just watch it, and versus the knowledge that and the viewpoints that people have today. So I'd encourage people to go watch it. Like I said, I'm kind of on the fence of like, should I actually make a long form video on it? I'm leaning towards doing it just to bring awareness to some of the stuff about it. And really what it's concerning is the labeling of what Coyote is. I think in the very beginning, how Garrett marketed it, at least to me, when I bought my Coyotes, was they are super dwarfs and they're the largest locality as super dwarf. But then when Dax posted something on our group, it's like everybody in conjunction, I don't know, there's 20 comments, was like, well, technically they're medium-sized retics, they're dwarfs. And it's like, well, okay, so where do we go? Where do we go from there? Because I certainly don't want to mislabel, misrepresent what a Coyote is. And yeah, we could just call them Coyote, but nothing else is really labeled that way. Even though we could go towards that, hey, we're just going to talk localities and percentages, but then there's still going to be those people in our space that utilize the marketing terms super dwarf, whatever for gain or for sales or whatever. And then not to mention Coyote has been bred into super dwarf projects, over the last 5-6 years. And those resulting babies were considered super dwarf because they've got, 25% Coyote, 25% Kalatoa or higher. So it's like, what are those animals, right? And so that's kind of the main, that's the main question I'm asking. And there's no quote unquote right or wrong answer, but it's just a question I want to pose because I think there is a lot of, back and forth. And then on Morph Market, from my understanding, if you try to list, Coyote or it's got Coyote, from what Rodney told me, I think it comes up as either super dwarf or dwarf. You can label it either way. Once again, I don't know if that's 100% correct, but that's kind of where we're at. But anyway, I'm debating about actually making a video on it or not. If that's a stand that I really want to fight again. I don't know if that's just a losing battle off the rip because people are going to push back on it. But excuse me, my personal opinion is, yeah, they are definitely bigger on average than Kalatoas, Madus, Karampas. But what are they technically classified as? Is I think the question. So anyway, it'll be interesting. But if you guys have questions, I mean, feel free to throw them in the chat too, as we're kind of working through some of this stuff. But update on my end in terms of breeding, we've got some good traction with my Coyote female. I was actually going to check really quick. I mean, that boy's been trying all morning. He's been spurring her and everything like that. She hasn't been super receptive. I mean, she hasn't been freaking out, but I haven't seen a confirmed lock, so I'm going to leave them in there for a couple more days. She just shed out, finished her shed cycle. She's just been really lazy, and that's one thing that I've been seeing on a consistent basis with her is she just hasn't wanted to move. And the other update with her is I can definitely feel follicle growth now. So that's great. Like, that's something that has definitely changed in the last probably week and a half, 2 weeks. Is the second half. It's like I can actually feel follicular growth, which is great. So yeah, so we've got that. And then my head OGS female, she's deep in shed right now. She's thickened up a lot the last probably 6 weeks. So we'll see. We'll see if she cycles and if that's actually going to be happening this season. I hope it does. I've got that super phantom male from Andrew that I picked up, and I've been slamming him with food for the last, I don't know, 5 months since I've had him. So he's put on some decent size, but he's still kind of on that smaller end. So I don't know if he'll be able to get it done even if she's ready. So we'll have to maybe call an audible, or I don't know. Maybe we just let her cycle this year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we've got some good stuff going. And then my TK, not TK. I called her a TK. She's not TK. She's unknown. Pure SD from Daniel Solis is also noticeably thickening up. So, I'd be happy with 1 clutch. I mean, 2 would be ideal. I think 3 would be kind of nutty, at least just for my stuff. I am working on some other potential pairings and some other things that I'm looking at too. So it should be fun. I'm hoping to have quite a few babies to move and make available. And so one thing I'm working on too is I'm going to start probably working on my website in the next few weeks and getting that kind of up and running. I think that's important, is having a website, having a place where people can purchase direct from you. I mean, I don't have much experience with a Morph Market account yet, and I think that's a decent platform. But I think, once again, being able to funnel people to a website, your website, and have everything there is really good for kind of the longevity's sake. I know with Darian, I mean, I've actually worked kind of closely with Darian over the last year or so on a few different business items and different things that we've done. So I kind of know the inner workings of Morph Market and some of the different things that they're doing. And I think they've done a pretty solid job on the shipping side and some of these other things. But yeah, being dependent on Morph Market, I don't think is the move personally. I think you got to be able to kind of stand on your own and do things, if it's social media or website or YouTube or content. And one thing I'm really trying to focus on is more long form content, more live streams, more things like that. It's it's funny, it's super disproportionate on my analytics where I've got all these millions of views on my shorts, but to get monetized or to get kind of that next level on YouTube as a creator, you got to have like 3,000 long form hours. And I think I only have like 400. Like, you have to hit 3,000 in a 12-month span. So my focus is, rolling out some of this longer form stuff and some more live streams and really trying to connect more with people on here so that we can level up on YouTube, which would be really fun. So yeah, we've got all that going on. I'm trying to think, what do you guys do? What did you guys do for hatchling racks and incubator? That's my next question. I know people have made their own. I'm actually looking at potentially making my own just out of the old fridge. But curious to know what you guys have done with some of that on the incubator side. Oh shoot, I forget the name of the company I was looking at. They've got really solid racks, and the big thing with racks for me personally that I want is to be able to interchange the tub sizes. And there's not many that will actually do that unless you like custom create, I think, your own and get your own tubs. Let me see if I can find, I forget the name of the company. Um, I was looking at it. Actually, Rodney sent it over to me. There's been a few people that use it. I think Nathan Hess has gotten racks from and some other people, but that's one thing I'm also going to be looking at in the next couple weeks. Either way, so no, things are good. Things are good over here. Kids are good, and I think like I mentioned before, one of my goals is just to be more active on here and I'm trying to think other news that's kind of popped up in the retic space. I know Jen's been crushing it. She's got over at Mod Exotics, she's got what pure Karampas now that just hatched out. I don't know how many she has out of that clutch, but if you're looking at doing any kind of SD work in the future, I mean, I'd strongly advise to look at some of those. And then I know she's done some kind of unique pairings too. I think she's got some Jamp stuff that's had Ocelot. She did kind of a similar breeding to mine, where I think she did a pure Kalatoa to like a was it a Sun Tiger GC or something? Anery Sun Tiger G. So she's got I think one Sun Tiger, one Anery Sun Tiger available that look pretty cool. So I'd go check those out. Who else is throwing down? I'm trying to think who else is throwing down clutches right now. I know Rodney's got locality stuff, pure locality stuff. I think that stuff's going to go super quick. He's got pure Halmas, pure Ternates, pure Mindanaos in the incubator. I think all that stuff will sell. I don't think he could make enough of that stuff this year, but I think he might only have. I think he has another half of a clutch coming from Andrew that they partnered up on for Ternates. But I think that stuff will sell out very, very quickly. And I don't know of any other people. Shoot, what's his name? I'm blanking. Randy, does he have? I think he might have a small clutch of Ternates too. I think. So, Randy Owens, I think. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. I mean, I know people are kind of doing their own stuff, but in terms of volume, I remember when I was buying my stuff and it was like everyone and their mom was posting their clutches like left and right. I felt the volume was just on a completely different level, and rightfully so. The market was booming in 2020 and 2021, but it is interesting to kind of see everything kind of slow way down. And it will also be very telling to see what a lot of the mainland guys do. I think the smart ones are going to adopt into locality super dwarf stuff and bring a lot of their big mainland projects down to that. I think the smart ones will do that. And I don't know. I think it is going to be a little bit tough for those guys ultimately if they just kind of, I don't know, I kind of ignore the market. I'm not saying that all of them are just in it for business. Obviously, they're very passionate about the projects that they're in. I know Weston a little bit up in Park City. He's not too far from me. May Ray has got some really cool locality stuff, I think, on the ground already. Bigger stuff, but I mean, nonetheless, I don't know of anybody else that's doing kind of what he's doing. So it will be really fun. It will be really interesting to kind of see. This is kind of the first, I think, big shift we're